Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Wright podcast. Today, let's dive into a topic that I think needs a little bit more attention, and that is transparency in the industry. In front of me, we have Kings County Distillery, and this is one of the most unique bottles of my selection lately, but also, I think one that provides the most amount of transparency and information on the market. So let's dive into it. So to start, there's a lot of bottles out there or brands really that give you a good amount of transparency. So like these Bardstowns that are behind me, they give you a bunch of transparency. They give you what the mash bill is and then what percent of the blend is from that as well. You get whether it's from Kentucky, Indiana, whatever it may be, and you're able to kind of like figure out for the most part like what they put into it. But they are very transparent. I will give them that. But this Kings County, I think, is the most transparent from the looks of this bottle here. If you're looking at this on YouTube, there is not much to it. It's a very thin label in front here, and that label doesn't really have much, right? It tells you it's Kings County Distillery, private barrel, straight bourbon whiskey, and it's a 65.1 alcohol by volume, 750 mil, right? Typical. On the back here, on the very thin label, it does say 80% New York corn and 20% UK malt. Now, I know that not often are you getting where the corn is from, though you can usually take your guess, or where the malt's from. So the fact that they say New York corn and UK malt, I think is very interesting, right? Then aged for 4 years in a new cooperage, meaning the barrel. But this little hang tag is kind of where it really gives even more in depth. So on this hang tag here, we get the private barrel number 6735K, DSP NY 15025 for Kings County Distillery. That's their distillery number. But then they give us all this other information. The barrel is a 53 gallon. The cooperage is ISC, Char number 4, warehouse C. Now, I know Old Forester tells you the warehouse and the floor on a lot of their bottles for the blue or black labels as well. But this goes a little bit more in depth too. Entry proof, 116 proof. Now, I'm sure with a little bit of research, you can find that some of these bigger distilleries, what their entry proofs are, but some of these smaller ones don't give you that. So I do like how you can learn that, okay, this is a 116 proof on entry. The bottling date was 6/26/2024. So it was aged for 4 years, 174 days. You can at least do the math there and figure out when it was distilled, or at least barreled at that point. And then Elevage adds, now I don't know what this means, but I like how they put it there, and I have to do more research. But it says Elevage adds 6 and 7 year, 15 gallons. Like I said, I don't know what that means, but the fact that they put it on there must mean something, and a little bit more research will tell you more. But I like how they do that because it lets you go out there, explore, and learn a little bit more and do some more research so you can get more of that knowledge about what you're drinking, as well as learning more about why it may taste the way it does. So let's dive in though and see how this one tastes. Now, Kings County Distillery, if you do not know, is the oldest New York City distillery coming out of Brooklyn. To be honest though, I didn't really hear of them until recently. So even though they are the oldest out there, they haven't really done like branching out, which I kind of respect, keeping it nice and craft. They really want to keep their hands on making sure everything is as good as they want it to be, which I can truly enjoy. Now, we all know Widow Jane, and they are also in Brooklyn as well, but they have been bought out by Whistlepig at one point. They are a lot bigger, and they also don't really have a lot of their own juice at this moment, though they are working on that and aging it at this moment, from my understanding as well. So the fact that this one is all New York aged, distilled, and everything by New York's oldest distillery is pretty cool. For being a craft whiskey, I'm not getting a ton of that like crafty, grainy notes. I think it's a very good balance between we'll call it Northeastern bourbon as well as a craft one. I think it does have a nice balance there where it's not too crafty, but it's not too plain either. Definitely some good chocolate notes on the aroma on this one, a little bit of toffee, a little bit of dark brown sugar. Definitely has a very inviting and warm aroma, especially coming into these late cooler months. I definitely am getting a little bit more of that corn note or that graininess because it's 80% corn on this one. It is leaning a little bit more into that one, but it doesn't have the craft funk to match. On the palate though, that craftiness is really shining through with that corn flavor, but that toffee is coming through, a little bit of chocolate, Maybe a little bit of faint tobacco notes on this one too. Maybe a little bit of caramel and a nice charred oak, that level 4 char that they put on there definitely comes through on this one. And I'm really getting that oak tannin and impact, but in a very good way, in my opinion. Knowing that it is a char 4 on the barrel really helps me learn, like, okay, maybe this char 4 is something I want to look for more. It brings a little bit darker and more chocolatey or toffee notes to it, where some of them don't. Now, granted, this has a different climate being in New York. It's going to get a lot more of the 4 seasons than you would down here in the South, particularly. But you get similar seasons as you would in Kentucky. So if I'm looking at a Kentucky brand, knowing that they have true 4 seasons, just like a lot of the Northeastern region has a lot of those true 4 seasons as well, I can gauge, okay, the darker it is, even though it's only a 4 year, it really had that big impact on it. And that higher char level, probably helped with that as well. So being that I can learn from this little hang tag is what I mean about the transparency. It helps you explore the whiskey as well and really lean in on what you like about it and maybe why you like it, so that you can go forward and find other brands out there that truly embody what you are looking for. But we could use a little bit more transparency in the industry. I feel like it's not that hard to give us this kind of information. It's nothing groundbreaking here, but it's just something for us to learn and grow as consumers so that we can continue to buy the things that we truly like without having to waste our time, waste our money, be nervous about it, and things like that. But I want to know y'all's opinion in the comments below. Thank you for watching this far. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Let me know what you think about transparency. Do we need more? Are we in a good spot? What type of transparency do you want to see as well? So until next time, cheers, y'all.